this video, we're going to walk through how to create metrics reports inside of Monolith. First thing we're going to do is come over into the left-hand sidebar and click into the Reports section under the Analytics tab. And the way this is different from a normal case report inside of Monolith is the metrics reports are kind of designed to give you like an overall lab snapshot of all of your data. So this could be case data, evidence data, QA entries, time tracking data, that sort of thing. And this is really just intended to kind of give you some information at a glance to the kind of work that's being done in your lab. So here you can see some past reports that I've created. To create a new report, first thing we're going to do is click this new report button at the top left. And we're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call this case overview report. And next we'll need to select a report category. So we have a few options for this built into Monolith. So depending on what kind of data you want to take a look at, you can select from this drop-down menu, and then Monolith's going to open up some additional parameters so you can kind of decide what filters you want on that data for it to generate the report. So I'm going to go ahead and click Cases. And here it's given me specific parameters that I can set based on the category that I selected. So just be aware that if you select a different category, you may see different boxes here because the parameters are going to change based on the type of data set that you're looking at. So for example, if I click evidence, you can see we have a couple extra parameters compared to the case overview parameter settings. So let's set some parameters here. Let's say I want to look at cases from last year. Time dimension, so we can select open date, close date, last activity date. I'm going to take a look at opened cases. If we're interested in seeing data related to a specific organization that we're doing work for, we can select those organizations here. I'm just going to go ahead and select everything for illustrative purposes. Next, we can select the case lead. And I'm going to go ahead and just select all here. But again, you can pick and choose which case lead if you only want to see James Brown's cases, you could just select that and that will show just that data. Case status. Here, I'm just going to select a couple of these. We'll look at active, backlog, closed. Let's look at archive. Okay. So almost all the cases selected here, but we're going to leave off these last three for the time being. And lastly, we're going to select case types. I'm going to go ahead and select everything here. But again, if you wanted to see, for example, just like the fraud cases that you did last year, you could just select that and that will limit the report to just that particular data. But I'm going to go ahead and select everything. And then once we have all of our parameters selected the way we want, we can click Create Report. And Monolith is going to generate kind of a snapshot view for us. So over here at the top left is just some information about the report details, including who created it. In the center here, you're going to see the report parameters. So this is all the stuff that we just set on that modal we just looked at on the previous page. So if you need to make a change to any of these parameters, you can do so by clicking the Edit button, and that will bring up a modal which you can then edit and adjust as needed. And then over here at the top right is just kind of like an overall snapshot of the data that it's pulling in this report. So we're looking at 123 cases with 263 evidence items across 11 organizations. It's showing us the acquisition total here and the average close rate as well based on this data set that we have selected. Here in the center is kind of a pie chart view of the breakdown of percentages of case types, case status, progress, and organizations. And if you hover over the different sections of these pie charts, Monolith's going to show you what, in this example, it will be the case type and how many of that. And then if you were to look at a different one, you would see the corresponding information that relates to that particular data set. And all of these function the same way. So under case status, we can see this circle represents the active, this one represents closed, this one represents open, and same thing for over here. Now, if you prefer looking at this information in a text-based view instead of a chart view, you can click on this charts dropdown and switch it to text. And this is the same data that we're looking at. It's just showing it to you in kind of like a text-based format. I'm going to go ahead and change it back to charts. And down here at the bottom, you'll see a section to save reports. So all of this data is based on how everything stood in Monolith at that particular point in time when I generated the report. So if I want a record of this data set at this moment in time, what I can do is I can click Save Report. And that's going to preserve this data here in an XLS format that we can then download. And so let's say this is like we set up our report, but it's something we want to take a look at regularly, say every 2 weeks or once a month or something. Well, what we can do is we can return to the report later, click Save Report again on a new day, and it's going to have, Monolith's going to keep all those saved reports here for you so you can kind of take a look at them over time. Let me click into another report that has that in it so you can just get an idea of what I'm talking about. So this is a separate evidence report that I created previously, but you can see down here I've got a few separate save reports. So there's one from August of last year and a couple from May of this year. And really all it does is when we download it, you'll be able to see how that data was constructed at that particular date and time. So helpful, especially if you're like keeping an eye on things over a longer term. And then last thing to point out, depending on which type of metrics report you've set up, you're also going to see a tab that will show you all, in this example, since we are looking at a case report, it's going to show you all the cases included in this report data. So pretty easy to take a look at all the information, the relevant info related to this that's being compiled in this particular report. And you can also export this grid, you can refresh it, and you can adjust the columns as well. And that is how to create a metrics report inside of Monolith. Thanks for watching.